We are back on Morning Line. This is Barbara McGinnis. She works with Tim Takis, McGinnis Elder Care Law in Hendersonville. Nice to have you on.
Nice to be here.
Always a pleasure. We've got some phone calls coming in talking about the law, and so you heard the last caller and the situation she's in right now, what she's looking for, and a lot of people are in the same boat. Lines are open, 737-7587 if you want to jump in. Waiting through the break with some calls. Let's go to Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie.
Hello.
Hello. How can we help you, Bonnie?
Well, the lady just called in was talking about a reverse mortgage. I have a reverse mortgage.
Okay.
I'm 78 years old, and I've got no problem with the mortgage. My problem is I don't have any kids. My husband's dead, and my last heir died 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I now have to make a new will, and I do not know how to go about getting a new will because I have no heirs.
You just called the spot for the answer. Take her away.
Well, you know, Bonnie, I really feel for that situation because more than just a will, she's looking at life without close family, and that can be very difficult. As she's getting older, I'm sure she has good friends and support systems. You make a will just in this situation like you would any other time, go to an attorney's office. Your options are whatever you have left at the end of your life, then it would go to either more distant heirs. You think about by law, spouses, parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren, but then it goes out to brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews by law. But that doesn't mean she's obligated to those people. Charities, friends. Yeah,
something close to your heart. I mean,
your church.
Do you have some thoughts on that, Bonnie, where you would like to leave any of your estate when you pass?
Yes, I really do. I would like to leave it to St. Jude's.
There you go. That's wonderful. And so the question is how you would do that? You're not sure how you would rearrange it to do that?
No, I don't. Now, with the reverse mortgage, if I go into a nursing home, my heirs, or whoever's my heirs, will, has a year to sell my property. If not, then the reverse mortgage takes it, okay?
Right, then you're...
nursing home and my property sells, most likely the nursing home is going to hold whatever money
is left
to sell of that home, okay? So, but I'm in fantastic good health. I have no major health problems. I live by myself. I take care of myself. I take care of my yard. You know, my doctor says I have no dementia whatsoever, and he says I'm in the top 95 of people my age of being very alert. And,
you sound. Do you still drive?
Yes, I do.
Good for you. You sound awesome. That's
go wherever I want to. I mean, you know, I'm not handicapped in any way. I have a little hypertension and cholesterol, and that's it.
Wow.
I know, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I would want you to think about is if something suddenly were to happen to you,
this is what I'm thinking.
You had a
need to do.
Yeah, you're out working in that yard in the summer heat, and you have a heart attack, or you fall and you break something. So something suddenly that you're not expecting. Who would your decision makers be? If you couldn't make medical decisions for yourself, who's in line to make medical decisions for you with legal authority to do so? And who has authority over your financial situation? That's perhaps even more important than a remainder beneficiary of St. Jude at your death, because you know, I wouldn't want you to be in a spot where you would be subject to an emergency conservatorship.
So you would
planning for that incapacity.
Would that be, she needs to have someone to
She needs to have powers of attorneys.
So, so it would be, do you have any friends or people that you would trust? Maybe someone at a church if you go to church, or someone that you could, you know, say, I'm going to give you power of attorney if in some point I'm incapacitated and some decisions need to be made.
Yeah.
Well, at my age, most of my friends are my age or older.
Yeah.
Well, but hopefully you have a friend that is as mentally competent as you are. I've seen pastors willing to hold that spot for someone. A couple of times I've had that happen. And you know, you just look for someone, even if they're not willing to serve for a prolonged period of time, they could serve as, we call it a placeholder, somebody that could hold the place until they could identify an appropriate person.
Can you get a lawyer to do that for you?
Sometimes. We have never served as someone's power of attorney. But some attorneys are willing to take that fiduciary role, and there are also companies that will serve as someone's healthcare power of attorney. Locally, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Locally, there's a company called Lifelinks that will serve as someone's healthcare power of attorney. You could, sometimes geriatric care managers will do that. There are independent trust advisors or fiduciaries that will hold the durable power of attorney position or a trustee type position. You could probably even just, and if you were really worried about how to get the proceeds, the remaining assets of your estate to St. Jude, you could probably check with the St. Jude Endowment to see if there's a charitable remainder trust that they can help set up.
That they could set up, which they probably would. So I don't know if I hope that helps you on that. If she calls your office after this, can you guys help her with the St. Jude's thing and the will?
I have one more comment.
Okay.
I talked to a realtor in where I live.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of charity work in auctions for St. Jude.
Okay.
Now, he said he could basically handle that as far as getting the property sold and stuff like that. What do you think on that subject?
If you were alive and you gave him permission to do so, if you were deceased, there has to be a will with an executor and directions for sale, because someone has to give permission to sell real estate. There has to be you know, authority to do that. So
she has to name him. She needs to write a will that names him, as long as he's someone you trust, and you set out the provisions that they have to follow the guidelines where the money goes, and name him to, or something like that.
With a reverse mortgage, property is going to be sold at her death, or if she has vacated the premises for over 12 months, and then the reverse mortgage is paid back, and proceeds, remaining proceeds, is actually what becomes part of her estate. And that's what she wants to see go to St. Jude's, assuming she doesn't use all of it before she passes.
Sound good?
Yeah, this is what I was thinking was, you know, to give everything I have, car, estate, everything, to St. Jude's. All I need is someone to be there to handle it in case of my death, you know.
Right.
There you go. All right.
There you go.
Well, then, you listen, to set that up in maybe more detail, you have to get, I guess, that will written. And she needs to do that. You need to redo your will, which was your original question. So we'll have the number for, you know, Takis and McGinnis Elder Care up at the end of the show, and they can arrange it. By the way, if someone just needs a basic will, and I know you guys do much more detailed stuff than that, I mean, what can that cost if you don't have a huge estate? Is it real expensive?
It depends a little bit on the practitioner and the community. In the Nashville area, I have seen attorneys that do good work that are willing to charge by the document. Okay. Maybe like $100 a document, but I've seen attorneys that are on the $2,000 or $3,000 range for a comprehensive estate plan.
Yeah, and that first is more basic. Well, you guys do wills? We
do estate planning work.
Estate plan. So
we would do an estate plan consult. We do not just do documents for people.
Okay. Well, we'll see. And she may just need that. Well, you know, Tim's always like, Altamont. He always talks about the most basic wills written on a napkin somewhere. So I hope that helps you, Bonnie. Let's go next to Phyllis. Hi, Phyllis.
Hello.
Hello, Phyllis. How can we help you?
Well, after listening to y'all, I'm not for sure y'all can answer these questions, but I got a phone call yesterday from my brother-in-law's neighbor, and she told me that I need to start making funeral arrangements for him, and he has nothing or anybody to help take care of him, and I'm not for sure where I'm supposed to go with this. Could y'all help me out with that?
So it's your brother-in-law, and he has no one else, and his neighbor says he's getting sicker and sicker, and she knows that you're the only nearby family, and she wants you to help with the planning of his funeral and stuff?
Yes.
Well,
before then, he would have to go somewhere to a home or something to be taken care of because, you know, I mean, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. That's sort of, I mean, obviously that's a difficult situation because it sounds like there's some distance, some physical distance.
Well, yeah, do you have a relationship with him, or how far does he live from you? That's a good point.
Well, he lives over there on Tennessee Avenue. I'm in Mount Juliet, but we used to see him every weekend, and then he just stopped coming. And, you know, I called him just a couple of weeks ago, and I had to keep reminding him who I was.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's slipped back. So they're worried about, I mean, have you been over to his house? Because I'm guessing.
We're going this morning.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Good. All right, so what does she need to do and observe? Because when she gets there, I bet that house is a mess. And I'm thinking that he's having trouble caring for himself. And he's not going to look real hot, okay? So, but he's not going to sign off on anything. Is this thing where they're going to have to go to a judge and get a conservatorship?
It sounds like it. And I guess one question too, Phyllis, are you willing to take that role on?
I'm not for sure I don't know what to do.
Because
I mean, I'm going to make sure he's taken care of one way or the other.
Good for you.
Don't know where to start with doing all this.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe it's a trip to the doctor or the emergency room to get him started and getting some care. You don't know what the medical situation's like there. And then you can imagine, so once you get him in a place where his care is initiated, then does he need to go to long-term care or to an assisted living? Is he a veteran? Can he tap into the VA healthcare system at all? Then what about his bills and his house and trying to get authority to do all of these things?
How does he keep the power on if he's by himself and doesn't?
Yeah.
Do you know? What's his estate like? Does he have a big house? Or does he have a lot of money in the bank?
The lady that called me is his landlord, and he rents from her.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I just don't know the whole everything. So I mean, I just know she called me and told me I need to start making funeral arrangements, and I just don't know what to do about it.
Well, even making funeral arrangements for another person involves some legal authority. So all of these situations that we've talked about so far involves pre-planning, planning for incapacity, and getting good legal advice. So this particular lady, pre-planning's out the window. You know, we're in the situation.
Right.
We're not pre-planning anymore. And perhaps he may not even be able to participate in planning, and it may be, like you said, that an emergency conservatorship, and he's here in Davidson County. That's a trip to Judge Kennedy's courtroom to get a conservatorship started so you can have authority to take care of his health care, take care of his business, and plan his funeral if that becomes necessary. And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, once you get involved in the healthcare system, usually a social worker is a great person to give you advice. There are some low-cost funeral opportunities.
I know he has a paid burial, but I've got to find out where.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have that meeting today. You'll have to go, and hopefully he'll still be a little bit lucid, right?
So that he can tell you where some of these important documents are.
I don't think he knows, and that's what I'm worried about.
Well, he may have a file cabinet there or something like that you have to go through. But yeah, that's it. It's a pickle, but it's very good of you to do this. He has no one else, and someone's going to have to deal with it. If she's saying funeral arrangements, she didn't call you and say, I think you need to start looking for him to get into assisted living. He may be further gone than you think. You know what, this hits me as we go to the break, a little bit about just how, and I sympathize with this man, and I sympathize with any senior that needs help along these lines. But I also look at this and say, you know what, there was a time you were lucid, and it was selfish of you not to do what you're recommending and dumping it on your family members where it's painful to begin with. They don't know where to start. it's difficult. I mean, I even feel a little bit of that resentment sometimes with my own folks, that they should have done more. And it's because in their own mind they thought they were fine when they were no longer fine, and so I cut them slack because they've started losing their mind. But really, you know, at some point you need to recognize I need to set things up for myself because I don't want to be a gargantuan burden on my family when the time comes. And this is a gargantuan burden. He's just lucky Phyllis is such a good woman.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, that's it. I don't know if I'm being mean saying that, but that's the way it is. Get it together and plan for yourself so you don't dump it on someone else. It's pretty simple.
We actually say it's good manners to plan ahead.
Yeah, that's a classy way to say it. Listen, well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got some more calls. Lucy and others are on the hold. 737-7587 is the number. We'll come back with our final segment with Barbara McGinnis right after this.